Hi there, YouTube. Today I want to talk about why I think the banks won't deliberately crash the economy anytime soon. Okay, well, nobody can deny the economy is absolutely buggered. Doesn't matter what you are told on the mainstream media, the economy is buggered. You only have to look around yourself. It doesn't matter how much you're told the world's better or you've never had it so good, etc. Just look around you. You will see that you have friends who have lost their jobs. Maybe your company is a little bit dodgy at the moment. Maybe your credit cards are feeling the strain, and so are your friends. Maybe as you walk down the streets aren't quite as clean as they used to be. Maybe in a kind of the way the council or the Department of Cleaning, whatever, has been saving a little bit of money on the refuse collection. I dare say that there are shops nearby that are now closing down or have closed down. Maybe the mall you're near has closed down a little bit. Lots of sales. Basically, it doesn't matter what you're told, the economy is in a real state. Now, it's been in a real state since 2008, and there are way better videos than this talking about that fact. And just to search for, economy 2008, etc. on Google and YouTube will find way better than me. Anyway, this video is about, basically, there is a school of thought that says that that the bankers know that the economy is screwed and they're trying to basically bring it down because they know there's nothing to be done. Now, why don't I think this is the case? Well, first of all, they were talking about, we don't want it to happen to Obama. We want it to happen when once Trump comes in, because although it is a worldwide problem, I live in the UK. I have to admit that the world kind of revolves around America. Congratulations, America. So there we are. So there is this train of thought that says, we weren't going to do it to Trump. Now, what you also have to think about is, certainly how it looks from my perspective, is you had Hillary Clinton was very much the establishment and Trump is very much the outsider. Now, let's just think about that for a moment. If you're going to crash the economy whilst you've got your person in the White House, aka Hillary Clinton, that's not going to do you any favours, is it? They want to be your friend, but you've screwed them over by destroying the economy while your friend, if you like, is in the White House. So they wouldn't want to have done that. And you also don't want to trash the economy once Donald Trump is in the White House, because he isn't your friend, as in donations and things. So he's going to come after you. So it's in everyone's interest to keep the economy up. This is my big main contention, that I don't think they're going to deliberately crash the economy. Now, are they going to do things that are going to change the way the economy operates? Well, I don't think they can avoid it. Will there be something? Nobody seems to be talking about this, but it's what's called a debt jubilee. Now, this happened, I believe, in the 1940s, possibly around that time. I'm afraid I haven't checked, but that's basically where all the countries of the world agreed, let's write off 50% of everyone's debts. Now, we know that businesses don't like to write off stuff like that, because that's if you're a bank, your business is the debt that people have, because we're an economy based on debt. But that would be the simplest and easiest thing to do. Well, maybe not easy, I'm not an economist, but it would certainly keep the current system running. And nobody can doubt that having trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of debt is good anyway. I think I read somewhere that recently the world is something like 300% of GDP in debt collectively. Now, that's clearly not going to happen, not going to work. So I would suggest that they're going to find a way to keep the economy going in some capacity, because like I say, now you've got Donald Trump in the White House. He's going to come after you. He's a businessman. He doesn't want the economy to fail either, obviously. But he's a businessman, and he's already showing that he's not necessarily the friend of, he's a friend of business, absolutely. But if he spots that someone's screwed up, he's going to go for them. And do you seriously think that if the banks fail, the president isn't going to look around? Because everyone's going to blame the president. Of course they are. You don't think he's going to turn around and look for a scapegoat and throw these bankers under the bus? Really? You don't think he's going to do that? He's completely going to do that. Now, the level of how he's going to do that, that's a different matter. There are things the president can do. He can put people in prison or give people fines. That's actually the nicer option for the business side of the operation. He could even, ditch the whole Federal Reserve concept. And I'm sure everybody knows, but if you don't, the Federal Reserve is actually just a conglomeration of of banks working together. They're as Federal Express. Don't believe me? Look it up. There's nothing governmenty about the Federal Reserve. There really isn't. Now, the last president who tried to tackle the big banks was JFK. I think we all know how that ended up for him. I'm not suggesting that the bankers caused his death, but you never know. These things, crazier conspiracy theories are out there. But my point is, what you can actually do is you can actually sign off so that the government basically prints its own money, which means the government isn't actually having to pay interest on its own money. At the moment, every dollar the American public and the world, because we're all the same, every dollar that the government spends that it hasn't got, it borrows from the Federal Reserve. Yes, borrows, and therefore has to pay interest on it. Now, if the government signed a bill, which they could do, I'm joking, signed a bill, they could actually make their own money, and basically, the Federal Reserve is then completely out of the loop. They're not lending America any money at all. And do we think Trump won't do that? Well, we don't know. Will he? We don't know. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But my point is, it's in the banking community's interest not to trash the system. There is a body of evidence of people who say that they will allow the system to come down, but I don't think they can allow it to happen. I really don't. So it's an interesting time ahead. Let's see what happens.